How's it going? Happy Friday. So, as you can see, took some losses today. I actually took 5 trades, so, you know, obviously doing something wrong. But, did a lot of bad things today, did some good things today. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Basically, looking at the 15-minute chart here, going into the day, we were sort of around here in the morning. So we had this low, right? We had this 1 hour, which was also like a 4-hour fair value gap here as well. Let's go 1 hour. So we had this some liquidity above here. We ended up tapping into this, which was also, it was not discount of the range, but we came up here, we rejected this 1 hour, and early on in the morning, we basically held this and just dumped to this low in the morning, right at 8 a.m. And then, so we sort of chopped around in here inside of this daily volume imbalance. So if I go to the daily chart, I probably should not, most of the trades, or not most, every trade I took was a short. Looking at the daily chart, we just wicked off of this daily volume imbalance. So basically, I'm zooming in some more. We had some big displacement down, and I was thinking, maybe this volume imbalance doesn't hold, right? So I had marked out this range, right? And so we had a bunch of imbalances here, 15 minute here, 15 minute here. This whole thing was a 1 hour imbalance. And right in the morning, I started off, normally, like most of my videos, I always say, like, it's its problem each time. I'm like, I gotta stop zooming into the 1 minute chart so quickly. Like, I have to wait for confirmation before I, start zooming in. So we had a little SMT at this high here between NQ and ES, and now, so this is what I should have been doing, right? Like, this is what I need to be doing here is, alright, we have, it's not like we necessarily had a clean sell side of the curve, because we didn't really have like a high, a low, a higher high, and then break through, right? Like, normally you would want to see something, like this, where you take the high and then it's like a market structure shift, right? There. But if I just stayed on the 5 minute chart here, I would have been like, okay, we now have finally opened up at least some sort of fair value gap to the downside. We're starting to sort of reject through this bullish fair value gap. So here's when I could zoom in and look for an internal model, right? The problem is, I was sitting on the 1 minute chart, and this is what I was seeing, and I was like, alright, SMT at the highs, we're gonna pull back, OT this range. We have this little baby 1 minute, and so I just had a limit order sitting right there, and it just got absolutely ran through. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no, this is just bad. Just sitting on a 1 minute chart like this and just trying to play this model is just, I am not successful with this, and I know I'm not. So this is just bad right off the bat. Shouldn't have taken this. And even though there was an SMT here, like, there's a lot of buy side liquidity here, right? With this high and this high, those are relative equal highs. This isn't really like the best SMT to be playing, even though it is technically invalid. It did work out for a bit. Another thing to notice is, we did have a 30-second here, and we did tap into this and reject. That doesn't invalidate the possibility of this 1 minute holding, but it's just not something that I should be playing. I should be looking at this 5 minute, or this order block or whatever, OTE of this range. Sure, I could mark this out and I could sit here and I could say I'm looking for shorts right here, right? And guess what? If I had just been sitting here and I was like, alright, if an internal model happens, I'll take the play, right? If we came up and did something like this, maybe we came up in here, boom, 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 that's when I play my short here, right? Something like that. But I just smacked a short at this little sliver of a fair value gap, just because I thought we were going to hold this. This is not a good trade. I shouldn't be trading like that. That's not how I am most successful. But anyway, took that first loss. Then we formed an SMT at these highs. And zooming out some more, we actually came into, a good premium of this range, right? We had just tapped into OTE. We also have this 15-minute here, so this is a good area to look for a rejection. There really wasn't like a model here, like I wasn't going to take this short, because there was no real like market structure shift until we came below this low, right? So now that we had that shift in market structure, I was looking at this 1 minute fair value gap here, because this was the one that caused the shift in market structure, right? Now the problem with this trade is I didn't want to just smack a short here like this, because I was afraid after taking this loss to just smack another short. So I was like, alright, let me play the internal model. So I zoom in, and it wasn't even a good internal model. I just saw us, it wasn't a valid internal model at all. I just saw us take this high right here and then just push down. So after we took that little high inside the 1 minute, I was like, alright, we're going. And I just smacked a short, and we just ended up tapping into this 15-second and just running up, stopping me out, right? So realistically, if I had just smacked this short right here, right, like I risked 11.5 points, I would have at least, I might have gotten stopped out here either way. I might have put my stop, just above consequent encroachment, but, either way, I think I should have just been looking for an internal model. And so after I took that second loss, I sort of was like, okay, I need to look for clear models. And I do think the next two trades I took were pretty decent. So I just got stopped out here on this trade. We ended up respecting that consequent encroachment, right? And now this is like a valid internal model, right? So we have a high here. This is a PD array, consequent encroachment. We respected that. We took out the high. We pushed lower. And we actually had displacement here. Like, this wasn't displacement, right? We had two fair value gaps. We actually had a good push to the downside. And then the retracement into this fair value gap is in discount, and you know this is like your breaker here, this candle, which is nested right over the fair value gap. So this is, you know, decent model. Now, so the thing that's bad is I market ordered because I was waiting, like, is this going to get respected? And then so we wicked it and I shorted here. Like, realistically, I should have just not taken any trade here or here, seen this, and then just smacked a short, a limit order here, and I would have had tight risk. You know, I wouldn't have hit my take profit, but I would have had tight risk. I would have probably gotten stopped out at break even somewhere over here, which is fine. You know, the same thing, the same scenario would have unfolded, but it just would have been it just would have been way cleaner if I traded like that rather than how I was trading and just marketing in because it's like respecting something and then I get stopped out, you know. So anyway, so this is the trade I took. So we ended up, you know, respecting this a bit. And again, like the whole bias for this as I continue to short here is that I really thought this was just going to become like a low resistance liquidity run to the downside, and we were just going to take this low. And looking at ES, you know, while I'm shorting in here, you know, ES is also clearly the draw on liquidity is here. You know, so clearly like ES looks like it wants to come down and take that low. So that was the sort of bias on why I kept taking shorts. But I ended up getting stopped out on at break even on this. So zooming in, you know, we had pushed down. The reason why I moved my stop to break even was because first things first, we took this low, so instantly moved stop to break even. You know, we also have multiple PD arrays that we should respect. Fair value gap, fair value gap. You know, order block here. You have all of these up close candles that you would want to, you know, act as resistance here. They don't. I get stopped out at break even. Cool, whatever. And then another internal model presents itself. We have these stacked highs here. We break above them, take that liquidity, big push to the downside. You know, just another internal model, your breaker here. So I was like, all right, I just got, you know, I personally got used as liquidity, but we didn't even take out any of these highs or anything. Like, move is still valid. We're still holding, you know, the 1 minute bias here. We basically just came up, hit this order block, right? And now we're rejecting. So took another short right there. Again, I think this is fine. Like the model's still valid. Took a short there. We ended up forming SMT right here when ES finally took out its low, the draw on liquidity. And the weird part here was, well, I mean, we had SMT. I just held because even though we had the SMT, I thought this was looking good in terms of the low resistance liquidity. So I just held. I had my stop, you know, whatever, somewhere around here. And the SMT ended up holding, and I ended up getting stopped out break even here on this trade. So 2 break even trades, 2 losses, and I was pretty much saying to myself, like, all right, I'm done for the day, which ended up being a lie. But I do want to go over the like one good setup, I guess. So that was this 5-minute fair value gap. Now I didn't take this trade, of course, and I don't think it was the best, at least in my opinion. Obviously it worked, it was the right trade to take, but you know, we had this high here, which was also, again, still in OTE of this range. So when we came up here, now we just swept liquidity in OTE. So I'm looking like, you know, are we gonna disrespect this and start to now come finally take that liquidity, right? The whole day I was really just looking for this to be taken or be used as the draw on liquidity. But the SMTs, I think, were just the main thing. Like, ES continuously took out these lows, so there's no reason for ES to go lower right here. So we bounce, take out the low again, and this is where the turtle soup happened. You had this 5-minute, we had like a bunch of lows here. So if we're looking at this, you know, we have all of these lows, this low here, this low here, right, and then of course the one that made the fair value gap. So all those lows stacked right there. You know, so a lot of liquidity resting here. The main thing is we formed SMT right here, pretty much. Boom, boom. Very clear SMT, where, you know, the main thing about this trade is there's definitely no reason for ES to keep going lower. You know, we took this liquidity, we bounced, we took this liquidity now, and we have an SMT here at the lows. There's really no reason for us to go any lower, so that is the turtle soup entry there. And you know, you just have to recognize that and then just smack the short or smack the long. I would have definitely been targeting this internal high, you know, but if you had multiple contracts, that's where you would have left a runner to this external draw here. Another confluence, possibly for the long setups, that I was looking at. I don't think it's the cleanest, but you know, this could be arguably sort of in a accumulation range, and then this is manipulation, and this is distribution. Right, in hindsight it looks clean, but the reason why I didn't think it was the cleanest is just because it wasn't really like one high, you know, one low, where you're just holding inside of this range. Like, we did take out these stacked lows here. You know, we did take out this high here. So, you know, maybe you're thinking this is the accumulation over here, and then this was the manipulation, and then this was the distribution. So it just wasn't the cleanest in my opinion, but I mean, you know, when you're looking at it now in hindsight, it does look pretty valid. But you know, just another thing to throw in the journal, right? So anyway, yeah, we had that 5-minute, 15-minute as well. And then, yeah, I guess you would consider that in this case a market structure shift, not a sweep of liquidity. And then rebalance, we had our SMT, big push to the upside. And then the last trade of the day that I took was here. So looking at this chart, I was like, alright, we finally came to OTE, of this higher time frame range. We tapped into this big 1 hour, literally just tapped the 62%. We took out multiple forms of liquidity, and we are starting to dump to the downside, disrespecting the different fair value gaps. So this 5 minute, I was like, all right, this is where we're going to reject from. I'm going to look for an internal model to go take out all of this liquidity. It's Friday. I don't expect us to make new highs on a Friday. Since we sort of topped out earlier in the week, like yesterday on Thursday, I expect Friday to sort of continue. Holding on to that short bias. So I made a fatal mistake of just trading a garbage model. So we basically came up to the 5 minute, and the whole trade was literally just like, all right, we had this 1 minute, we broke below it, and then we had a 1 minute here, and I just smacked a short and just instantly got stopped out. And I remember taking this trade and saying, like, this really isn't good. Like, we didn't take out any sort of high, and I just knew it was bad, and I just took it anyway, which is the crazy part. I was just drawn in by emotion, and just it's all just psychological at this point. And it just got ran through. So if you zoom out a bit, we basically just had a 1 hour here that we ended up continuing to hold. We also had this inverse 1 hour there, and we also had this 5 minute here that we held. But really, what ended up happening was we just, at the end of the day, just came into OTE of this range, and then had a huge dump after that here. But I just didn't think, I thought the end of the day macro sort of thing was going to be to the downside. And yeah, it was just FOMO, emotion. I was like, it's the end of the day, it's 3:30, we're just going to tap this and just dump to end the day and just rip all these lows. And that's a FOMO thing. That's an emotional sort of thought. So I was like, it's going to dump, let me get in. And so I got stopped out, as I should get stopped out, because there was no valid model. If we came up, took that high, and then displaced down here, that's valid, because we took some form of liquidity there. That would have been valid. But just emotional, man. So it is what it is. I think the good thing that I did today was I kept my losses pretty tight. To take 3 losses, and it be half of the amount of money that I made on one trade yesterday, is just the whole reason why I'm surviving, and slowly, I'm technically slowly making money, over the past couple months, but I think the whole reason why I'm able to survive is for things like that, for the money management thing, where I could take a bunch of losses and then wipe them all out with one win, and I have a 25% win rate, and I'm very slowly breaking even, slightly making money. And the thing for me, man, I just gotta get the win rate up a little bit. If I had a 40% win rate, I'd be stacking money. And that's a lame ass win rate even in itself. So the money management and stuff is there. I mean, I'm just taking so much dumb shit. That's just the main thing. Like, if I had just sat on a 5-minute, and I'm like, okay, like I was saying earlier, is there going to be a valid trade setup in this 5-minute in this area? No, we blew right through it. Okay. Is there anything on a 5-minute right here? No, there's nothing. Bunch of SMTs. There's a massive 5-minute fair value gap here. SMT, turtle soup, boom, amazing move, right? 5-minute fair value gap. It's like, okay, are we going to hold it? No, the model was garbage. There was no internal model, so there should have been no trade here. You know what I mean? So if I had just sat on a 5-minute chart the whole day, I probably would have just taken no trades. You know what I mean? Which is totally fine. Yeah, it's just like me being like cracked out on the 1 minute, and then like the problem is I'll go from one trade to another to another to another, and I don't think these were bad. I think I did keep my composure for the most part. But when I'm on my phone at work, like I can't keep switching around the charts, and so like I'm just tunnel visioned looking at the 15-second chart like this whole time, just like staring at this model when I should just like zoom out a little bit, right, to like the 5, and then just be like, this is disgusting. So anyway, this video is getting real long, so happy Friday. I still made it out green on the week, not by much. It's like $50, but slow month. But like I say every time, man, I really gotta focus on my discipline and my psychology. Hope you banked. Hope you made a shit ton of money. Fucking bought a house. So with that, if I trade on Monday, I'll see you then. Have a great weekend. Peace out.